which is how IG goes through. The reason why IG goes up and down is because sometimes the players are not having a good day, and they execute the same plan that they have, but they require outplaying their opponents in a way.
I think Navi does too.
I think IG can outplay Navi. I mean, I agree with you, but I think you remember when I criticized Rattlesnake for being reactionary?
Yes.
I said, like, you're waiting. I think this is something that IG can do better because they do have the players to just say, okay, I'll just wait for you, see what happens. You be aggressive because Navi will be aggressive and will respond in a core. When did Navi beat IG and everyone remembers that? When they outplayed IG in a great play. Like IG had this Naga the play, right?
Yeah.
Had the Naga Siren into vacuum, into everything common.
Stolen Ravid.
Yeah.
Fight turns around.
And Navi is like, we outplay you. And we win because we outplay you, not because we were doing better. IG was doing better that game. I mean, it was
close. It
close.
was not a huge advantage.
But I mean, they had the edge, they had the initiation, they had map control, and then suddenly, bam, Navi outplays them. It's all about Navi being able to outplay IG. And IG says, if we do not make any mistake, we can take this game.
That's a good point.
What do you think?
It's convincing.
Okay.
I'm
Are you
speechless
sold?
now. I don't.
Great. Easy.
I think I definitely agree with you there. If they lose the game, it's usually not because of the draft. But aside from Wisp, if we throw Wisp out of the equation, it's usually like, oh man, they totally lost that game because of hero picks. It's like they got destroyed in the laning phase, or Dendi made a lot of clutch plays in the Roshan pit. It's really, I think both the team rely on outskilling the other opponents and not really regarding on too many other of the mechanics that we see a lot of other teams rely on. Like, for example, the Grievel's Greed mechanic, that a lot of teams just really focus on that to outfarm the other team if their last hits are equal.
Or the living armor mechanic.
Yeah, living armor, just like great team fight potential with like Magnus, or last series we saw Bat Rider plus Naga Siren. Like they don't really rely on too much of those. They just rely on really clutch plays and like similarly skilled matchups, or similarly like hero even matchups, like for example Queen versus Pain versus Puck. They'll usually just go for those because they know they can win, or usually know they can win through skill alone. But when you're playing against someone as good as you and who also has that same philosophy, it's going to be very interesting games.
You know, for IG, what I would really like to see them do in this match is run an aggressive tri-lane and put a lot of pressure on Navi in the laning stage. Because what we've seen a lot of from Navi lately is early rotations from Puppy. Like if he's a level 1 Nyx, he'll enter the lane and he'll try and mono burn Dendi's laning opponent so that Dendi can have a good start. Things like early, if you put that early aggressive tri-lane, then Dendi doesn't get as much help.
Right.
If Puppy's running a jungler, you force his Chen, his Enchantress, to pay more attention to that tri-lane. So I feel like for IG, really strong laning heroes and potentially an aggressive tri-lane could... It puts Dendi on an island 1v1. They love to snowball him. It's not that he can't beat 430 1v1, but he's less likely to snowball if that's the case. And I think IG is just at their strongest when they run those aggressive chimes. That's when they were just dominating. In the G1 League Season 4, they were winning every game, aggressive tri-lanes, early pressure, and then you disrupt Navi's game plan a lot by doing so.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's my thoughts on IG's game plan. I don't know if you guys agree, but what should Navi be doing as well?
In the past couple, I was watching a group stage, and IG, one game really stood out to me. They had an SD and Alina. Instead of actually finding kills around the map, they chose to constantly pull and get levels. And once they got 6, the game was almost already lost because they picked this aggressive strategy, and it didn't really pan out for them in the laning phase, and they just got too far behind, and it wasn't really suited for their lineup. So I do agree with you that they do need an aggressive playstyle would lend well towards them, but they need the hero picks to, I don't know. It just seemed like their game plan was a little bit wonky.
Yeah, and I think speaking about that as well, when was the last time that Navi offensive tri-lane? I don't think it's a team that.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
I don't think. I'm trying to think, and I don't think they're a team that like to offensive tri-lane at all. They feel much more comfortable if they give Revolt at safe lane, Fnatic the off lane, because Fnatic, I mean, we were talking about YF being better, but Fnatic is a guy that will always find the farms, will always find the levels. He doesn't need a safe lane, and it's also Navi doesn't run the dual core of, like, say, Lifestealer and Gyrocopter, or two carries that one needs to go to the off lane helping with help of each others, and one can go in the solo safe lane. They more likely try to run Darkseer, yeah, exactly. Things that can go in the off lane and they can rotate to the jungle if they get nothing. So IG has to know that, and IG has to say, because sometimes you have to guess if the opponent is going to play an offensive tri-lane as well. With Navi, I think they know. I think they can say, well, They're going to play a safe lane. Navi is not a team that will bring new heroes to the table. Not as many. I mean, at the moment, they did in the past. I think at the moment they have an established pool of heroes.
Yeah.
They will try to get probably a jungler or Puppy. They will try to get Rubik on Kuroki. They will try to get one of the 4 or 5 heroes that Dendi can play mid. They've been experimenting Dragon Knight on Dendi, which I'm not a fan of.
That's just not a hero that I think suits their style. They need
Not
the
Dragon
Puck,
Knight.
the Templar
Yeah.
Assassin, the Queen of Pain, even a Skywrath Mage. Maybe that
Storm
hero can
Spirit.
sort of snowball, but yeah, perfect example, Storm Spirit right there.
Right. So I don't know. I think IG has the easier draft just because of this knowledge. And
As long as they ban Wisp. If they give Wisp...
oh yeah,
Not only do Asian teams in general struggle against Wisp, but IG in particular is really vulnerable to Wisp. They got absolutely hammered by Team Liquid at the G1 League season.
They got pop stomped.
Yeah, they got
they got
crushed.
pumped.
They got pup stomped.
They are awful against Wisp. They have to ban that hero. I actually don't think they run it very well either. So
Yeah.
if they let Wisp through, I feel like that's just an auto win for now.
IX Mike got an Aegis on the Wisp, and Slark on played by TC got an Ethereal Blade. That's how bad the game was. So ban Wisp, and we have a game.
Yep.
Merlin's laughing. It was a pop stomp.
Yeah.
It was brutal.
It was worse than IXDL. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so do you think we have time to introduce the players? Maybe.
Yeah, let's do it. Take
Let's
it
do
away.
that. Okay. So we start with Navi. We have Havos, Alexander Dashkevich, from Yalta, apparently 1990. He's 23 years old. No, about to be 23 years old because he's from December. Plays the one position. Likes to play aggressive carries. Likes to play jokes on people. The first time I met him, he tried to convince me that he didn't speak English, and I tried to speak Russian with him for 5 minutes. It was fun. Moving on, we have Dendi, of course, the guy that everyone loves. Really great guy, really great player.
Take off that Dragon Knight.
Take off the Dragon Knight. Yeah, please. Go back to Queen of Pain, go back to Puck. Stuff we like. Fanik, ex-Empire player. Used to love the Clink. Not so much right now because it doesn't suit, as we said, Navi's playstyle. But a very solid offlaner that will always get what he wants. Always get what the team need. Puppy, the captain, the brain, the tall guy. He also is the player that brings the interesting jungle heroes, not only in the name of Chen and Enchantress, but he also plays aggressive jungle heroes that can get some farm, like Axe, like Lycan. Of course, not heroes that are much favored right now, but if there's a surprise with Navi, what the hell is that?
We are loading into the game now,
Okay.
and the players are going apeshit, apparently.
Okay, fair enough. They're having fun. But yeah, Navi, if there's a surprise with the draft, it'll come from that guy. And if there's not a surprise in the guys, it will be this guy, because Kuroki likes to play Rubik. I think about 70% of his games are Rubik games at the moment. So, very stable guy, plays the hero a lot. He used to have a past of being a carry and even solo midlaner.
He's a very flexible player.
Yeah, so he brings all that knowledge into the support role as well. Creativity 9, teamfight 9, clutchness 9. Supports 8, semi-carries 6, carry 4. Havos weak link. I think the 6 from semi-carries has to come from
I
Fanik.
think they have that explosive potential, but like Merlini was saying, Dendi not the most dominant laner. Players like Mushi have beaten him mid.
Yep.
We've seen 430 in the past take advantage of him, so couldn't give them a 9. You can't be 10s everywhere. Nobody's perfect in Dendi.
I don't think they're that creative anymore.
I don't. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
Creativity
the
really stands out to
creativity
me as
is
not
less.
mine.
It's less that they pick crazy heroes and more that they just use heroes in innovative ways, like what they did at the International 2. Any team that pulls off the play, it's very hard to see docking them points. Sure, they're not picking Bloodseeker. They're not being
Yeah.
completely off the wall, but they take things that other teams are doing and then they find a way to counter. I mean, they gave away Naga, they gave away Tidehunter, they gave away Darkseer. That most people looked at that draft and said auto loss,
That's clutchness,
Yeah.
and they
man.
found a way to beat it.
Yeah,
That's
that's
clutchness.
But that's
Uh,
also creativity to know that a BKB, Enigma, and a Blade Fear Juggernaut can beat the combo.
Yep, absolutely. And we're going to introduce IG right now. We start with this guy. Look at this guy. He's so happy. Chen Yao, Zhou, carry player. One of the best carry players in the East. I mean, probably not at the same level as Zylar or
Or Havos.
Burning. But obviously not from... That's why I said the East. West is Havos, straight away. Feichiluo, Ferrari 430, the pianist. Great laner.
Sounds like something else.
Sounds like something else, but it's not. Or it is, I don't know. Strong laner. going to be the clutch
That's an
guy.
understatement.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. This guy is like, he just was drinking something. He has this kind of drunkish look.
Was
Well-
working at a gas station. That's where 2009 discovered him.
Oh, really?
While he was working. He didn't discover him at the gas station, although that makes for a better story.
Wow, we have to make a movie out of that.
Yeah.
I want Jackie Chan
Actually,
to
it would
be
make a great
YYF.
Jackie Chan play wow. Jackie Chan's a bit too old for that. Man.
Never mind. Makeup. Chuan. This guy was playing basketball when they discovered him.
They've all got a back. Well, two of them at least have these great background stories.
Yeah, no, we have to.
He was
make
headed to the NBA,
IG,
guys. I don't know
IG
if
the
you know.
movie. It's great. This one will be played by Matt Damon. And then we have
Striking resemblance.
yeah, Faith, just straight off TF2 right there. That I remember those both. The 5-player, and now we see the hexagon. Not much creativity, but look at that clutchness and those semi carries.
Yeah. Any team that
Has
can win the international too, they get a lot of clutchness for that.
I have to agree with that.
Yeah, this is fairly accurate.
Okay.
I like this. So I think that's it. We go for predictions and then into the game. Marlini.
I put my rares on Navi, but I think it's a coin flip. Navi's been on a hotter streak lately. They were kind of cold in the group stage. That's an understatement too. But they've been showing rather impressive performances in the game. On the flip side, IG, they dropped a game versus Orange. They dropped a game versus Tongfu. Neither of them are weak teams by any means, but I thought they would be able to just straight up outclass them. But I think they actually got like close to Fountain Camp at the end just because, or maybe it was in one of the previous series. But I mean, I forgot what the statistics was. LD knows a little bit better, but they hadn't dropped a best of 3 in X months before the G1 League, and at the G1 League, they just flopped.
It
Right.
was like 6 months or something. Granted, there wasn't that many events in Chinese Dota, but yeah, it was a long time.
Right. So I think that IG's recent performance, I guess like in the last month, has been a little bit weaker than before. But I guess let's get on to the game.
Well,
gotta
no,
predict
whoa,
something.
wow,
What's your
wow.
prediction?
I already said
Prediction.
Navi. I put my rares on them.
Okay.
Okay, you
All your
quickly,
red ones.
I think
but
T1
super
though.
fast.
IG 2-1.
So tough. IG 2-1.
Yeah.
I'll stick with my brother in arms here.
What about
Navi,
you, Bruno?
Navi 2-0. This is shocker. People will be talking about it on Reddit for days.
Well, whatever happens, people are going to talk about it on Reddit for days. It's Navi versus IG. Welcome into the draft, ladies and gentlemen. I'm LD. I'm joined by my partner in crime, Luminous. Oh, man. It feels like the International 2 all over again, getting small goosebumps all over my body. Lumi, IG versus Navi. Game 1. Draft now underway. How do you like it so far?
Navi gets the tried and true Darkseer. Well, of course, Wisp being banned out, I think that's probably the most important thing to point out. But Darkseer, Funnick, one of his best heroes, even though it's not the flashy clinks. He plays this hero very well. But I like where IG's coming out right now with their bans. They're banning out nothing but powerful gankers, the Wisp, the Puck, and the Nyx Assassin. They just want to take the game a little bit more slowly. They know they have perhaps higher individual skill. If they take the game slowly, where you take away the clutchness factor of Navi, they should be able to kind of win most stages of the game.
Now, whenever you say that, if you give away Darkseer, the potential for epic combos is still going to be there.
Right.
A couple of Dendy heroes get banned. You mentioned the Puck, the Storm as well. What I really like for this draft for IG is that they've picked really strong laning heroes. Visage, Weaver, heroes that, first of all, Weaver, very good against Lifesteal and Darkseer. No lockdown on these two to speak of until much later on when items come out. Things like Sight the Vice, things like Basher for the Lifestealer. But that's a long way off. Strong laners, independent heroes, and heroes that can take the pressure to Navi. So Dendy may not get the kind of support, and you look at Navi heading into this game, they were up against much more passive Chinese teams. Teams like Tongfu, LGD China, teams that like to sit back and play more defensively and reactive Dota. And that's where Navi could really punish them. Or where they could punish them by rotating Puppey in, setting up a lot of early aggression, and getting Denny that fast start in the mid lane. But now with these aggressive laners for IG, I think Puppey will have to turn his attention elsewhere.
Yeah, now, with the way that the draft started for Invictus Gaming, they don't have too much stuns either. So that means in the lane that they're trying to kill, for example, Lifestealer, that's going to be a tough one to kill. Darkseers are automatically a little bit tougher. It depends on your support. And you generally give Dendy one of those heroes that could escape in the form of a Puck or Quap. Now, Puck is banned out here, so I'm not sure whether Invictus Gaming will have the general offense that they'd like to filter through, simply because they lack the stun so far. But you could quickly remedy that. That's going to be Kuroki's Puck, or not Puck, Rubik being selected.
Yeah, the Kuroki Rubik, he plays a lot of Rubik. Like Bruno said, over 70%, I believe, for all his games, at least on Navi. And for IG, what do they go for here? You mentioned they're lacking stuns. They probably still need that solo mid for 430. This could be a YYF Weaver. It could be a Zhou Weaver. We'll have to see where they take it. And then they'll be looking at those supports, something for Chuan perhaps. The Visage could be his hero. I'm not sure if he or Faith actually plays it, but
I think Faith plays that one.
okay, so they'll still need Chuan's hero then. Rubik, one of his signatures. They won't go to it here. What do you go for if you're IG?
I think you want to secure your off lane first right now, because I feel the mid and as well as the support could be still very versatile. If they want to pick up DK, it's definitely a hero that both teams use. I don't like Navi using it, but Invictus Gaming definitely push a lot better with it. They do a lot more early game team fight. You go Drums DK, and not only does he push, he also team fights quite effectively. So I don't think that's a bad pick. It's another hero that it's great laning, like you talked about. Invictus Gaming definitely focusing on that stage of the game.
Yeah, they have the Visage, they have the Weaver. That could be the makings of a tri-lane. Weaver could be one of their solo heroes. Where do they go from here? The Rubik is important in this game because he gives you much needed lockdown versus Weaver. Also, if Kuroki can steal Sakuchi, that would be enormous.
That's
in this
so
game.
annoying to deal with.
I'm very curious if IG will go for something like a 430 Brewmaster. Pretty good for kiting and dealing with heroes like Rubik, Darkseid. I guess it's a bit vulnerable to having your ultimate stolen.
Stolen, yeah.
But
I don't think it's too good against Lifestealer as well, because Drunken Haste, you could easily rage it off.
That's true.
So
maybe not then.
Not this particular game, but definitely one of his very good
There's
heroes.
also a Templar Assassin, minus armor, very potent against
yeah.
Lifestealer. There is Ion Shell to remove Refraction, but is it really going to be a Darkseer mid? That's not something Na'Vi have run very often, so maybe they look towards a 430 TA. Windrunner will be the choice. YYF can play this, Chuan can play this, and I imagine it's going to be a YYF Windrunner. Probably the farmer in that tri-lane.
And those YYF shackle shots from the past. Let's see if it's going to be here today. Now,
And there's no more Light of Heaven. Not in this team anyway.
not in this matchup. Now, Windrunner, we've seen the rise of Windrunner in the past couple of weeks, but what the theme of the Windrunner doing well is you don't give her that suicide lane, because she just can't handle it. Teams have figured out how to beat her. You have to give her a little bit of support early. Sometimes you even put her mid. But if you just give her the suicide solo lane, you can't do too much. Now, when your Weaver is your carry, you could easily just run offensive tri-lane a la Orange style and let your Weaver farm the safe lane. And not only do you have a ton of harass and a ton of healing power, it really allows your support to rotate off. And this is an OD from Na'Vi, something that we haven't seen too much. They may not be, or they were pretty high on the creative hexagons, and well,
we've seen Mushi play this an awful lot. That mid OD, against what IG has, will beat any of these heroes 1v1. Even a Weaver, so reliant on mana, he probably won't die to an OD, but is going to struggle to farm. I like this pick a lot. It's a pretty independent laner. And they have a Darkseer and a Lifestealer, very strong side lane heroes, whether they're in a tri-lane or a solo. And that means that, well, for IG, it's going to be hard to gank that lane. They'll need to devote a lot of attention to shutting down the Darkseer, trying to slow down the Lifestealer's farm, and that frees up Dendi to have a true 1v1 and arguably the strongest 1v1 hero in the pool, the OD.
is there any hero that straight up beats OD 1v1?
I've
Like
seen KYXY consistently beat OD with Lone Druid.
Okay.
I've seen him do it at least 2 or 3 times, and I think he was the better player in those particular matchups. But yeah, it's a strong matchup for him. I like this Lone Druid pick a lot, and I'm very curious to hear what Bruno has to say about this.
This is quite an interesting matchup right now. I've seen Owl Devourer destroy Lone Druid a couple times as well. You would expect Lone Druid to win, but it's all about the base damage. It's all about the bear can't zone you out because it will get the creeps onto you, attacking the bear. I mean, it sounds good in theory, but unless you're really good with entangles, OD can still pull through. But looking at this Merlini,
my real question is OD a Dendi hero?
Well, that's a good question.
Because we see Storm and Puck banned out, and I think he's really going to Queen of Pain, Skywrath, those kind of heroes. But OD, I don't think I've ever seen him play.
I think I've saw him playing once. I mean, to be fair, OD is kind of comparatively a low skill ceiling hero.
I would agree with that.
I mean, it's not that it's super easy to play, but compared to a Puck, to a Queen of Pain, there's much less decisions. You can decide where to drop the hammer and when to just astral imprison someone. Then the rest is right-clicking and use your mech for stuff, whatever. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is a Blink for stuff Owl Devourer, based on what Dendi does.
And I'm so glad Bruno mentioned that, because item decisions are one of the most interesting things on OD. We saw a Refresher Orb OD. Was it Mushi who played it?
Oh, look at that.
That did a lot of work.
Wow, they are taking a page out of Quantic, I believe, or DD, who ran this before. Treant Protector and Our World Destroyer, one of the easiest way to beat OD in lane is to gank him. You're not ganking this guy with Living Armor. And with Living Armor, you definitely beat Lone Druid, I think.
How do you kill anyone on Navi's team? OD has Astral, Lifestealer's Rage, Darkseer Surge, and they all have Living Armor potentially. it's going to be tough for IG to find kills. What they'll need to focus on is just winning their lanes. And that mid lane, Lone Druid versus OD, I think that'll be the matchup. I think it can go either way.
Do you go Silencer here? It's definitely a hero that IG has picked in the past. They pick it generally against heroes like Anti-Mage because they give you a free gank, but this team is so reliant on their ultimates. So reliant. No, they're going to go with Sand King. Definitely a tried and true hero for them.
And a Chuan Sand King. It's worth mentioning as a fun flavor comment that this Sand King for Chuan, well, he's playing his 6th now. He will not use the name Chuan until IG takes home a championship. So he's playing with a pseudonym here today. And on that note, we'll see if he can make some progress towards that. On the side of IG, they're the Radiant squad. It's 0-0. Game 1 now underway. Faith on the Visage. YYF handling that Windrunner, one of his classic heroes. Chuan, the Sand King I mentioned earlier. We have a Blue Roshan Courier. 430 playing the Weaver. And last but not least, it'll be Zhou on the Lone Druid heading mid to 1v1 against Dendi.
Meanwhile, on the Na'Vi side here, Puppy, the captain drafter, are going to be playing a pulling jungling Treant Protector. We have Dendi going on the top lane. It is going to be a Dendi OD. Kuroki, of course, going to be playing that support Rubik. Hovos going up top here as Lifestealer as well. And Funnick, last but not least, handling that Darkseer on the long lane. So we've seen the difference of lanes. Sometimes Dendi go up top nowadays, and Hovos could go mid with Lifestealer. In terms of a mid this game, I imagine it's going to be a Dendi mid. Pretty much sure with the OD and giving living armor backup.
We have seen the Lifestealer, at least before, in 6.77b, could dominate Lone Druid 1v1. I think you still have, I don't know if you can kill him, because it's mid lane. It's hard to tower dive as Lifestealer, but you can definitely just right-click his bear, use feast damage, heal yourself up constantly, and CS pretty well in that matchup. So it could even be a Lifestealer mid. That wouldn't shock me, but Dendi will park himself mid, and it is going to be the OD there. IG looks like that aggressive trying. I thought this was one of the keys for them heading into the draft is to stick with what they're best at, which is early pressure, lane dominance, and just trying to outskill their opponents. And with a Visage tri-lane and Windrunner there as well, it will be a very strong tri-lane, even at the early levels.
Did you actually lift up Windrunner, trying to toss him up top to the cliff? Not going to happen. I think perhaps our focus onto the mid matchup might be incorrectly placed. I think the more important matchup is what is Puppy going to do here? Because he's going to try to pull for some EXP. It is so easy for everybody on the IG side to walk through the camp and just challenge your pull because Treant Protector doesn't do anything.
Yeah, and this tri-lane for IG looks very strong. They have great range, great harassment. It's basically your classic counter melee farmer tri-lane, where you have a Windrunner as the farmer, and then some strong ranged hero. We'll actually have a Burrow Strike in off the bat, just harassment on Havos, but really trying to chip away at him. He shouldn't die with living armor, but they can look to outfarm him. Every time he comes near the creeps, IG should be auto-attacking him, should be trying to mess up his last hit timing. The pulling will be important as well. Puppy can go jungle. He's trying to actually deward the pull right now. It looks like has a pair of sentries, waiting for Kuroki there. But as long as IG stop the pulls, force the Treant to go to the jungle, and prevent the Rubik, that's really the key thing. It's not just about shutting down Havoslumi, it's about slowing down Kuroki's level progression. And right now, the camp is blocked, and it's going to be hard for Kuroki to find any experience.
Meanwhile, let's talk about the bot lane here. 430 is going to be playing against Weaver. The Darkseer going to be pulling the creeps into the high-level camp here, so he's going to be double up his farm. This is one of the higher-level tactics that you can be doing to get a little bit ahead in terms of EXP and gold. Very nice.
Can I just say how hard Dendi is already crushing in this lane? 7 and 4. And Zhou just struggling to find any last hits. Only 2 and 2. You were on the mid Lone Druid to beat the OD. And right now, this is the farthest thing you get from it. And this is a bit of concern for me. But like you said, the good news is 430 is having a blast in that bottom lane. A lot of harassment applied to Funnick. He's got a Sakuchi cooling down. And just constantly keeping the pressure. Both heroes should be able to farm. But I like what 430 did, just preventing Funnick from finding those easy neutral camps and getting some extra gold that way.
Yeah, I mean, the mid lane's going to be somewhat in Zou's kind of disadvantage until he hits 4 or 5. That's when the bear as well as synergy start to kind of take over. And if he even wants to pick up an Orb of Venom, that's really annoying.
He actually already has one. He started with one.
Oh, wow.
Game. So that's it's a nice harassment ability, but Dendi is living armor on his side, and that means you can harass him all he wants, but he is going to be hard to bring down. He was also pulled, which is part of the reason he's having an edge in this lane, but still. So far, so good in the mid lane for Na'Vi. The bottom lane, fairly even. 430 has a bit of an advantage here in terms of CS. It's close. The tri-lane's the big thing, though. Can IG continue to shut down Kuroki? Can they maybe even find a first blood? if the Living Armor's used mid, then that's go time, at least potentially, for this tri-lane.
Meanwhile, you can see that it's actually the Radiant that's doing a little bit of pull up top. Kuroki as well as the rest of the Na'Vi tri-lane coming in here, trying to do something about it. I actually don't like this pull because now you can see Na'Vi can safely walk into the jungle and maybe farm some of these neutrals. Power shot come dude not going to be effective, and Puppey can start de-warding here as well. I don't think you need to make that pull when you're so dominant in that lane, but well, IG did it, and I think
They want to find Havost here. Burrow strikes through, but unfortunately the Living Armor has come out. Puppey wisely holds it. They can't really engage on IG even after that happens because they just don't have any damage right now. But they aren't dying. That's the big thing. And they get a bit of pull experience. Kuroki hitting level 2. IG keeping the pressure up. So far, your lead farmer is that safe lane Weaver. 17-3. Going on to Funnick bottom lane. Won't find a kill just yet. And close behind is Dendi. 12-10. Zhou struggling quite a bit here. Only 7-6.
I think if you're IG, you wait for the Living Armor to go to the mid lane, and then you make a go on top. Especially on here like a Rubik, who's a very, very easy to pick. Tree's actually not too hard to kill as well. He's high HP. He has... that's it though. Like, he doesn't have armor. He doesn't have high movement speed, so...
It's a small window. The second that Living Armor gets used on the mid lane, they have about 10 seconds or so where they can go. Because by the time they get there, it'll be 2 or 3. And then he'll pretty much have it back up.
It's a 25-second spell, so or 25-second cooldown. And are they gonna
going
make it
in on
go? They
Havost
are.
right now.
Havost does he have rage? But first blood comes up on the bot lane. It's 4:30. Actually dies on a Weaver. Very surprised that somehow happened. Meanwhile, though, actually the creeps finished the job. Although Funnick definitely very happy getting the EXP for that kill.
Yeah, not often do you see a Weaver die 1v1 against the Darkseer. Yu Sakuchi must have had it on cooldown, just got caught out by the Ion Shell damage. Great play from Funnick. That's a matchup that the Weaver should at least break even in, if not win in the long run, especially because 430 was pulled off the bat. Now he's got boots and bottle, so it's not the worst situation for him. And even the nice thing is, oftentimes when you die in a 1v1 Lumi, you just lose your lane from there. But Weaver, even if this hero dies once, still is going to be able to farm and should be virtually impossible to kill as long as he plays correctly.
He's trying his best to actually harass Funnick. I really don't think that's the way that he should be playing it. Funnick smartly picks up a chainmail first. He knows he's going to be going mech. Might as well pick it early. It's going to deny a lot of harass. It's going to be coming from 430 away. 430, though, is still very persistent with this harass. Does a fine job zoning Funnick out of lane, at least for now.
It's an early advantage for Na'Vi, a slight one at that, about a 750 gold lead, a 300 experience lead. And Zhou, mid lane, still only 11-10. He's still getting crushed by Dendi in this matchup. Dendi really using Astral nicely. You don't reduce the Lone Druid's damage because he is an agility hero, but if you time the Astral right, he can't get last hits as easily. He's got to rely solely on the Bear, and the Bear not yet really hitting that max synergy, not hitting as hard as it could be. And top lane, they just can't seem to find a kill. Living Armor, as well as a Lifestealer tri-lane, doing work.
Yeah, but here's the bigger question for me is, when you have going into the mid game, what do you expect a very under-level Tree to do? Tree and Protector right now gonna be hitting level 3, but for the most part, he doesn't contribute anything to the team offensively. Now, defensively, he's annoying, but he doesn't help you push, he doesn't help you gank. It's just, I don't know.
And IG, well, they'll just continue to put pressure on this lane. It's like you said, he doesn't really help you that much offensively until he hits level 6. But I think the big thing for Na'Vi is just to get through this laning stage. Darkseer can be your offense with a really good start. Early mech for Funnick allows OD to dive more, allows him to be more aggressive. And they are on the dire side, potentially could go for Roche fairly early because they have an Outworld Devourer. His orb is pure damage, really brings Roshan down in a hurry. So I don't think all is lost. A burrow through the creeps. Chuan is going to whiff that one. No engagement just yet. Na'Vi, no real offense in this trial. The offense will have to come mostly from the Darkseer. Dendi's OD, mostly just a farmy mid. I think it is a lot of pressure on Funnick, but an early mech will feel that aggression.
It seems like IG is kind of giving up their early game, at least the option to play offensively early on. They will just say, you know what, let's just passively out-farm you. Windrunner is doing an excellent job. 33 CS on an offensive tri-lane Windrunner, and doing a fairly decent job of keeping Havost down. Of course, the mid is somewhat still being lost. Are they going to go now that Living Armor's down? No. Still just harassing, keeping Havost off the creeps.
It's still really hard to go, because if you go, and even if you burrow strike Havost before he rages, Kuroki can just lift whoever else hasn't come in yet, say YY off with Shackle, and hold him in place. You can lift the Visage so he doesn't get off a Soul Assumption. It's nearly impossible to find a kill, but bottom lane, Funnick, he will find one on 430 solo. Chuan's rotated in. It's a bit too late, and now Funnick surges forward. He's going for the gusto here. He wants to bring down Chuan as well. No way out for him. Dendi finds a solo kill mid in the meantime. Zhou dropping to that. The Living Armor doing so much work. Ion Shell won't be, continues to be there. Sandstorm won't save you from this. Na'Vi now 4-1. Absolutely crushing this laning stage. Weaver has died twice solo to a Darkseer. 430 just playing too aggressively.
I mean,
Getting caught without Sakuchi.
one of the things that the analysts brought up is that IG expectedly generally has higher individual skills. They're giving away 3 kills, but Kuroki up top perhaps in a little bit of trouble. Soul Assumption will seal the deal there. That's 1 kill. They want to actually rotate on Faith. YYF popping the Windrunner and should be able to make it home. He has Phase Boots available, and that's a good exchange for IG. But yeah, IG playing fairly sloppily. How do you actually die to a Darkseer as a Weaver?
Yeah, he keeps on trying to contest this jungle pulling of Funnick. He keeps on running towards the neutrals, trying to kill him or harass him when he's doing the extra farming, and just getting caught out without Sakuchi. That's the only way you could possibly die to a Darkseer. A little bit greedy from 430. In comes Funnick, though.